All
Hold on.
right.
It's okay now. Okay, you're live. Go ahead.
Okay. Ganesh, yak ewe haya de, akunk all my relatives out there, family, friends out there. Welcome to the Native Wellness Power Hour here. And we just like to again say hi. My name is Gene Tagaban. I'll be on here with Theda, NewBreast, and we'll give some introductions a little bit later, but we got the power hours going, just because as a response to the pandemic, because we knew people would be re-traumatized during this time, and traumatized people always being re-traumatized, and so it was our response. And so we're responding to other issues, the Every Child Matters, MMIW, or our relatives, or whatever is coming up at the time. And so at this time, I'd just like to respond. We would like to respond and acknowledge maybe some of the place where we're at right now, with the events that happened in Texas, with those children and the teachers who were murdered. I was looking for the word to say, but that's the word to say. They were murdered. And I know I saw many of you were kissing your children extra, hugging them extra today as you're sending them off to school. And I just have to say too is my wife is a teacher, and I think about this often. And to be honest with you, I've already talked to her about it because she doesn't want me to worry, but I worry about it. My wife is a teacher as well, and I pray all the time when she's going to school as well, not only for teachers, for her, but all our children as well. And so at this time, I just want to ask you to light a smudge. Think about our ancestors, and that strength of our ancestors, and that wisdom and that healing strength of our ancestors. We have all of that within ourselves, each and every one of us. And so I want to have you just bring them into this space, bring them into that space and that good healing energy. And maybe if you're holding any heaviness or grief too, I mean, that's okay, because that's a little bit of what this is about as well, that healing and acknowledging where we're at right now. So I'm going to sing this song, and we'll just take that time, send those prayers down, and for the children, for the teachers, for those families, those moms, those dads, those grandmas, grandpas, aunties, uncles, the communities, who's feeling this across the country, across this globe, across Turtle Island, wherever we're at, just to take some time, just to take a breath and to send some love, send some love. Yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey. Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, gunachi, so gunachi, oh. On the good it is to God, don't on the wish to call Dante. Hey yo, 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 hoo, 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 hoo. Oh, gonna teach for all those who are grieving, all your tears, all your tears. We throw a blanket down on the ground for you to catch your tears, to wrap you around that blanket around you like that shell, the dukunuku, the spirit of our ancestors wrapped around you, holding all of you out there, holding you out there. And so much more. Hear our hearts speak more than our words, and our love we send out to you, Oh, gonna cheesh, gonna cheesh. And thank you those who are on here today to join us for our Native Wellness Power Hour. Thank you. And thank you for lighting your smudge. And thank you for your presence. And thank you for your prayers, and during this time. And so gonna teach, keep praying, keep going, and keep offering that, and stepping up, and let your voice be heard. And if you have a child who sings songs, I heard a little child singing earlier today. Oh, what a gift. Record your children singing, and send their voices out there. The people need to hear the voices of our children. If they're not going to hear the voices of us, of the grown-ups, the adults, and anything, maybe they'll actually hear the voices of the children. Maybe they'll hear the presence of the children, and maybe they'll pay attention to them. Our children are powerful, and so with that, I say, welcome to the Native Wellness Power Hour, and on this day. And we just want to introduce this time here too is during the pandemic, the Native Wellness Hour, the Native Wellness, we haven't gone live with any of our trainings or our workshops or our gatherings. But this is the kickoff that we're going to go live in September 20. Let me see.
27th, 28th.
27th, 28th, and 29th in Suquamish. Is that correct, Theda?
Suquamish Resort.
Yeah. And so take a
Casino.
look at our website, www.nativewellness.com, for more information. So we're just going to this are kicking off of our going live event here. And so Theda and I we're going to continue on here during this time with our relatives who are on screen with us as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Man, what a treat. This is the first time a power hour with relatives on here, so we're trying a new thing here. So I would turn it over to Theda for right now, real quick.
No, thank you, Gene, and thank you for that beautiful song, and thank you for your prayers, and thank you for lighting your smudge, and thank you for all of you. We're doing a GONA framework, and so we have maybe 53 of our relatives spread out around America also on. But what's coming up, and what Gene, we have to congratulate ourselves, because this is the 110th week of the Native Wellness Institute Power Hour. And so we were gonna dip into an area in September. We have all of these topic areas. Some of the topic areas are, family healing, fatherhood, motherhood, some of the topic areas. But one of the topic areas is around healthy sexuality. And so this power hour, the topic is positive sexuality. And so Gene and I, as you know, Oki Nistuni Doniko Mokoyo Sakoyi. It's my Blackfoot name. It means the Milky Way. And my English name is Theda NewBreast. and I am part of the team of Native Wellness Institute. My clinical work is with pregnant addicts. And some of my clinical work is with Native women who have been sexually abused and develop multiple personalities. And so it's to get integration of the healthiest personality. So Jean and I, we thought we'd start, from a male perspective, because well, we were laughing because we said in our DNA we're part Neanderthal. So me and Jean, we're part Neanderthal in our DNA. So he's going to give us some stories of healthy sexuality and how we from a boy to a young man to a man. And then I'm going to give you some perspective as a young girl, a young woman, and then an older woman on how we got healthier and healthier. And how, we didn't keep acting like a little boy or a little girl around one of the most beautiful things that happens in your life, and that's around your sexuality, your healthy sexuality. So, and it's a core root issue of trauma. It's, for example, those of you who work in treatment, 99% of those coming in, male, female, and LGBTQ, transgender, two-spirit, have been sexually assaulted, have been sexually abused. And so, and it's a root issue because in the colonization, one of the things when the outsiders came is one of the ways that they kept us down was to continually rape us and sexual assault. And we see that with the bodies that we found in residential school and boarding schools. And now with the suits against the Catholic Church and finding out, the boarding school and the residential school survivors who are, telling the truth of what the priests and the nuns did to them. And I'm not saying in all cases, because we're always going to get people who say it was the most wonderful experience. And yes, they learned everything they needed to know in boarding school. So we're not saying that. But let's just start, one of the beauties of Native Wellness Institute is we've been at this a long time. And the Gathering of Native Americans framework is a beautiful healing process. But one of the advanced GONAs is healthy relationships, training of trainers. And so in that curriculum, we got a whole chapter module dedicated to healthy sexuality. It's chapter 7. And it's always fun to watch when people get that assignment and they have to present to us healthy sexuality. And so I was one of the things that, well, let's start with the stories. Like, we're just excited because we want to invite you. We want you to listen. But if our group right here, if Jean and I say something and you just really want to share a aha moment, in your own healing around positive or healthy sexuality, please do, on mic and say, hey, or raise your hand. And so I was thinking, I grew up on this reservation, this Blackfeet reservation, till I was 7.5 years old. And my family went on relocation to Oakland, California. So I started in the 2nd and the 3rd, but I remember in the 4th grade, and see, I thought this was normal. In the 4th grade in the 60s, we had healthy home life. We all went into this room and our teacher explained to us sperm, eggs, uterus, penis, scrotum, fallopian tubes, and just put it all out on the board. She wanted to show us where babies came from. And, we're all in the 4th grade and we're like, what? What's that? Where is that at? And ooh, what is that? She's drawing got these fallopian tubes with a whole bunch of eggs that could become a human being. And then there's this penis that we go, whoa, in the scrotum. And in the scrotum, there's all of these sperms are going to come out and swim down. And ooh, and that that penis is going to go in the vagina. Wow, it goes in there. Wow. And then throw some sperm, and then the sperm runs over and tries to get in one of the eggs. I mean, we're like the fourth graders, like, whoa, what cartoon is this?
Well, I got to tell you,
Marvel, come on, Marvel.
Dude, I got to tell you
Marvel
this too, because when we were growing up too, they would always put those cartoons, but they put like a happy face on the face of the sperm swimming towards like the egg who's sitting there like looking all sexy and all this, and during those times. And so in my little brain, my little mind, I'm like thinking that all these sperms like have these here little like faces or determined faces, like they're swimming through this, and there's like the egg sitting there going, come on, get me if you can, I mean, it's like, that was crazy.
Yeah, no, and see, Gene, so then, I'll just have to say, I thought it was exciting. I thought, oh man, because I'd also heard that life is sacred. I also heard all my life that my grandmas and my mothers were sacred. My grandpas were sacred, but that my grandmas were really sacred because they were life givers, and my grandmas were, heading up ceremonies, and they were going to have a Sundance, a Ocon, a medicine lodge. And so I was excited, and I was so excited. I just remember going, wow. And I had my paper, and what she was telling us is that's how life began. It was a sacred beginning with that sperm and with that egg. And in that excitement, I ran home, and all my little brothers and sisters, because I was the oldest child, I said, I have something to show you. So I get out this piece of paper and start drawing the fallopian tubes and drawing the penis and the scrotum. It was exciting. It was kind of like, I guess that's how I started out teaching. But I wanted to share a story, and then I'm going to bump it to Gene. We're just going to go back and forth. In that time, there was revolution and evolution. There was civil rights. There was women's liberation. And being so young, like 9, 10, 11 years old, when we were about 12 years old, we were in the midst of what was called women's liberation. And in that women's liberation, there was protests, and women emerged wanting to be free and have freedom. And so one of the things is Planned Parenthood. So we're like 10 and 11 years old, and Planned Parenthood said you could come on down and get some counseling and get some physical exams. And so you have choice. And so I just remember, what I remember vividly is being 12 years old with my other 12-year-old friends. Now, remember, we're all virgins. We're still virgins at 12 years old. And we wanted to be liberated. So we went down University Avenue, and I remember holding hands. We made an appointment. We went into Planned Parenthood, and they were just so gentle with us. They were showing us what young women have to do to make sure they're okay. So they explained, to how to do a breast exam, like I remember, they just tell you how to examine yourself. And I really see now that it was kind of like a sovereignty. It was a sovereignty of self. And then they did a pap and pelvic. And then they asked us, and you didn't have to tell your parents. This is like, this was a liberation time, because they were trying to give young girls choice, and they wanted them to have control of their body. And so they asked us, well, when you make a decision, no matter what, and some of that decision is when you do decide to have sex, you should decide first who you're going to have sex with, because you just don't let anyone inside your body. And so that they did like a pap and pelvic. They did the showing us the cervix. And then back then it was liberation time, so they like got mirrors, and you're up in the stirrups, and they wanted you to look at your own cervix. And so we did. We got a pap and pelvic, we got all the education, and then they gave us a choice if we wanted to go on birth control. And so that in case, so we'd have choice. And that was one of the choices. And so we're like 12 years old. We're like, okay. We're like, we're girls. And so we all kind of had a meeting. We kind of had a Gona. It was like a Gona with the girls. We had our own Gona, and we said, what do you think? Are you going to get on the pill? And what do you think? And so we had like this little meeting, and we said, let's all do it together. Okay, let's all get on the pill together so we have choice. And so we all decided to get on birth control pills. We're virgins. We're getting educated. And I'll just have to say that the interesting thing looking back, because I'm 66 years old, is none of us had teenage pregnancies because we had choice. It was interesting. And so that was some of my first early as Native women. That was my experience. So Jean, what happened to you? We kind of want a men's experience, women experience. What happened with you, Jean?
Well, just growing up, I grew up in Southeast Alaska, and what was my sexual education? I mean, and again, I remember taking a look at those videos in grade school and those things. And again, little cartoony and making it all fun, nothing serious. I mean, but I remember actually learning about sexuality is just from listening to the adults, specifically my uncles, speaking on it and talking about it, and especially after they'd be out there on the porch, their cigarettes, out there. The only thing that you could see them smoking was, it was the ash or the cigarette burning on the end of it. But you can see they're talking because you see the cigarettes in their mouth, because the cigarettes going up and down like this, and so who's talking at the time. And they had their only beers, and the more that they got intoxicated and this and that, more of these stories came out about I'm going to say it, the objectification of women. The stories about the objectification of women. And that's, I heard my uncles and adults, and even the older generations of me talking about this, about using, oh yeah, here she is, it's like, did you get any, or this and that, or, and that was the conversation around sex and sexuality with men that I grew up with, or I remember. And then learning more about it, the discovery of my dad's Playboys or Penthouses, and getting into that, and and scrolling through those and just going, whoa, what the heck is this, and always hiding it, something wrong, I can't be seeing these things, because nobody ever talked to me about this stuff, about sex or sexuality with men, and even as I was getting older too, it was interesting, is like, because that whole ego thing with men, and boys, heck, in this country, and even when I was growing up, you were expected to have lost your virginity by the time you were like 10 or 12 years old or so. I mean, you're just like a kid, and like the peer pressures around it. I remember in junior high and stuff, they're like going, hey, did you get any? And you just kind of like, out of fear, out of peer pressure and all that, you just kind of spurt it out there and go, oh man, yeah, you betcha, it was great, and because you just wanted to fit in, you wanted to like look like you're cool, or you knew what you're doing, or you're the man, being the man. What did it mean to be a man during those times? And being a man is that you were no longer a virgin, whatever that meant, but here I'm just a little kid, I didn't know anything. And to be honest with you, I reflect on those times and I was scared. I had so much fear around sex, sexuality, about having sex, about intercourse, about talking about an erection, all these things. And I remember my mom, my mom's a nurse. And so she brought this here book home and she didn't tell us about it, but she just placed it on the coffee table. And I remember I was going, what the heck is that? And looking through it and explain all, again, through like cartoons about sex, sexuality. And I'm looking through this and go, whoa, am I supposed to read this? Does she want me to read it? And then I put it down. I didn't want anybody to see me reading it, looking through it, but I was so interested. I was so interested because it was a natural, I wanted to know, but nobody talked to me about it. The way I learned about sex, sexuality, it was through peer pressures, listening to other people, television. Nowadays, they got the internet, Playboys, penthouses. My dad, my uncles, nobody talked to me about it, and they knew that we were sitting there when they were talking about this stuff. And again, that whole sexual and thing too, the attitude about, it's like the objectification of women.
Gene, it's kind of interesting because you just this is so cool because it stimulated another story when, because 8th grade, 9th grade, and I remember 8th grade, 9th grade, because of just that pressure, of not to be a virgin, and that it was sex, drugs, and rock and roll kind of time. But we were so young, and remember, when you're young, you have an innocence, and that's you want to keep that innocence and that curiosity into healthy sexuality. But I remember one of the things with and I'm not going to name or out any of my my 7th grade or 8th grade because they're still my Facebook friends. But in the school that we were, there was discussion of the boys that were needed to be de-virginized. And so we're like the girls, so we're not in this. And I remember there was a group of boys who took 2 carloads of boys up to Mustang Ranch in Nevada, and got them de-virginized at the Mustang Ranch because they were, and for us, it was like, well, as soon as they got back, we wanted to hear all the stories. And I just remember them saying that this one young boy, they said, he just got out of the car and ran up the steps and was ready to get de-virginized. He just like signed up. He went in there and he was ready to go. And so they told us all their stories. And I'm saying that because what we learned is that the healthy sexuality comes with talking about your peers about sex. And you're not good at it at first. You're not good, but the more you talk about sex with your peers, with your partner, with your first experience, with your first boyfriend, with your second boyfriend, or your partner, if you're LGBTQ or are two-spirited, the more that you talk about, and that's why Native Wellness is choosing to start the conversation. We're starting the conversation. We're going to say penis, we're going to say vagina, and that's actually with our healthy relationship curriculum. One of the first exercises to help you get comfort is we always take different body parts and we ask people to come up with slang or nicknames or what you call it. And I'll tell you, sometimes, especially for breasts, there's I think the highest is 63 different kind of nicknames, like knockers, mosquito bites. There are always these nicknames for that body part. And then for penis, I think the top is like 53 of those. This is my Johnson, or this is my tool, or all of. So what we do is we invite you to start to have the dialogue and to laugh about it, to giggle, because those are the laughing, when and in our groups we always get the most soft spoken person to read the list. You know, so when they're reading the list, like knockers, um, pussy, you know, when they're reading the list, they find their voice, because at first they start like this, you know, and then what we're inviting you to do is that positive sexuality and healthy sexuality is about having dialogue. And one of the healing issues is to say, how did we learn? What did we learn? And then when did we become confident and just enjoy? At what point did we have a partner, or that was just an expression of love? Because over and over in healing, you know, and Jean and I and the rest of our team, when we hear the stories of when you're really in love and you can experience that type of physical intimacy because you have the emotional intimacy, and it's almost like a spiritual intimacy, that is one of the great pleasures of life. You know, so I was thinking of that. So I'm going to shift it back to you, Jean, because I want the man's perspective. What are you thinking?
Well, it's interesting. Part of it too is like traditionally our people, before the colonization of the people and of our people, and you know, and putting us down, making us less than, even our stories. But our stories were they talked about sex, sexuality, healthy sexuality. I mean, they talked about Raven, and there's a story about the Raven and Deer Woman, how Raven wanted to trick Deer Woman and Loon Woman into having sex with him, you know, and then they found out that Raven was playing a trick on him. So there's those stories, or the stories of Coyote as well. So oftentimes these stories that have been banned in books, or banned in, you know, in libraries and areas across the country, but these are traditional stories that taught us about sex and healthy sexuality, because we talked about these things, and that's how we talked about it, you know. And being, you know, I'm looking online here, I got some brothers on here and some relatives on here as men, because as men we need to, like, it's, as Theda was saying, start the conversation, have the conversation with men, not only our young men, but as our peers, our men now. Because still, I mean, there's like men, even as I age, you know, even a little younger than myself, we've had this conversation, but still, as we age, nobody has had the conversation with them. Nobody's had that conversation about sex, sexuality. And here they've been married for how long, you know, and they still just, you know, just sex is all about the man getting off, man having an orgasm, and not even thinking about the pleasures of the women, and about that sacredness of it, you know, and learning about the sensual parts and taking time with your partner. And even as we age too, the intimacy of it too, of just the intimacy of we think about sex and sexuality as of having intercourse, but it's not. It's more than that. It's the touch, it's the feel, it's the holding, you know, and the caress, you know, and even how you use your voice and these things. And as some people say, sometimes that sex and sexuality is like when they see, you know, your wives or your partners see your man doing the dishes, man, or your partner doing the vacuuming the floor and things like that, and they're like, oh, holy, now that's turning me on right there, gee whiz, you know. We actually have a man who's like doing the dishes or vacuuming and things like that. Oh, holy, whoo, getting hot watching that, you know. But it's like there's so much more to it than just like the intercourse and getting off, you know, having that orgasm, you know. And so it's a you know, and men, we got to have this conversation. Got to start the dialogue and have the conversation around it.
You know what, Gene, I was thinking, and just that we had a Gona on the Rocky Boy Reservation, and Teresa Tendo, and bless her heart, she's gone now. But one of her stories, we see your hand, but one of her stories is she said she was a little girl and she remembers that it was just open, a little girl in a lodge or a teepee. And she remembers the conversation was about the grandmothers and the mothers, and it was about teaching healthy sexuality, but they were trying to educate the girls very young to keep your babies 2 years apart, because you needed to, from the time of birth, breastfeeding and being in the cradle board, and then you should wait at least 2 years before you have your next baby. But what the education was about, and she just remembers that was just like open and talked about, was how to please your husband without getting pregnant. So it was like teaching young girls, like, these are the pleasures you can have without just the intercourse. These are the caressing, these are the massage, these are the talking softly in the ear, these are holding hands, these are just the skin to skin touch. So it was all the other ways. And let's see, we just lost her during COVID, and she was in her mid 80s. So this was, if we go back in time for Native people, there was always a teaching of healthy sexuality. And that's in Agona, we try to find out, well, when did the healthy teaching stop? And then we got this. So when kids are put in boarding school, or when they're put in residential school, in there, I know they're taught that sex is dirty, sex is bad, and sex is not to be talked about, and don't be saying that. And so what we're inviting you to do is to throw that yoke off and to start to begin the dialogue. So I don't know, Gene, we got a couple of hands, and
I saw
we
I saw AC. He had his hand up.
Okay.
And just one thing I do want to just a sec, AC, is that and again, it's like nowadays we're finding too that our young boys, girls, they, them, our young people are learning about sex and sexuality through pornography on the internet, and they're thinking that's the norm. That's the norm, and so and so it's like how we got to get this dialogue going, and having conversations like this here, and so I'm gonna AC, we had your hand up, brother.
Yeah,
Good to see
I
you.
comment about pornography, not talking about it. And then kids get access to information that's not healthy for them. Just sets up a really bad dynamic for kids. My name is AC. I'm Two-Spirit. I understood from the time that I was very young that my gender was different and that my sexuality was different. And different isn't always accepted in some circles. My father was Catholic, and I understood from an early age not to discuss my gender or sexuality with him. It just wasn't a space that I felt safe. Later, as a grown up, if I can say that now, I this is like 40 years ago. No, this is close to that. I was teaching a class on sexually abused children, and I was reaching, caseworkers and foster parents and adoptive parents and folks like that. And so, Theda, when you're talking about making those lists, yeah, we did that in class. I don't think we ever got such a high number. So, wow, like trainer right there. But I learned as much from those classes as my students did, because I'm learning from them at the same time. And I also had small kids at the time who've since grown up, and now I've got grandkids. But I have a lot of kids, and some of them chose to wait until their early 20s to become sexually active, and some of them chose from the time that they were younger. But I understood that getting that information to them, what they needed was to know their choices and to understand their own bodies, and then their partner's bodies as that developed. But I really want people to understand, I think, that sexuality is something that, you know, occurs throughout our lifetime.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. And that's, you know, that's really a good way. Well, you know, this is only an hour, and Jean and I had planned some stuff. So we're going to take privilege to just finish our 15 minutes, because if we open it up, we're not going to get to, this has been in the works. And so, you know, we're inviting you to come to in September to Native Wellness Institute's first in-person conference. And this is one of the topic areas. And thank you, AC, because we want to have, first of all of the genders, hetero, male, female. And, you know, in Blackfoot, it's because, you know, we, as many stars in the sky as how many interpretations of gender to talk about healthy sexuality. And so, you know, one of the, I'll just say, and it has to do with healing, is that often, you know, people get sober, people go to counseling, people start to learn their language, they learn some of their songs, they start to go to ceremony, they start to being a better father and a better mother. But the one area in which they fall flat on their face is healthy sexuality, because they don't explore that area of themselves. And that's why, you know, and I'm not saying, you know, we got womanizers, we've got individuals who are just, when you're healing, when you've been sexually assaulted and you begin to do the healing, you're promiscuous. And so we get all of these unhealthy behaviors. And what we're inviting you to do in Native Wellness Institute, we have a 4-day curriculum on this. We have just the beginning. We're not saying we're the answer. We're just saying we'd like to open the door where we have more adults walking around with healthy sexuality and not thinking, oh, I can't talk about that, or, oh, you know, one of those other put our mouth over it. So Jean and I were just, you know, because from a female perspective, I'll say something, Jean, and then I'm going to hand it over. I was thinking about the female medicine of strawberries. And I was thinking about all the ceremonies around, you know, this female medicine. There's so much in our ceremonies that teach healthy sexuality, that teach us to that we're sacred life givers, that our ability to create life is so sacred. It needs to be a beautiful thing that's explored. And, you know, I always keep these strawberries around that were given, because the teachings of the strawberry is a feminine. And I look at all of the women, you know, I've only been on the earth for 66 years and in practice for 4 decades. But it's the area in which, when women get bruised, when their spirit gets bruised, it takes time to heal. And so if your spirit as a woman, as a Native or Indigenous woman, has been bruised, then we want to start to take time to do the healing so you can find your healthy sexuality. And I just want to say, Jean, yeah, when a man's doing the dishes, that's damn sexy. When a man is vacuuming in the floor, shoot, that's sexy. Come on, brother. Anyway, Jean, what you thinking?
Well, I got a few thoughts there, but I know a sister here. I want to open up real quick, just for a quick, if you had a quick question there, Julene, or just a quick comment. And I know you
Yes.
have your hand up.
Hi. So we do teach for our youth, like the sexuality, and I wanted to say, like, consent, and that is something that we talk about, because a lot of the youth just think that you have to. It's like you're obligated. If you're in a relationship, you're obligated to do these things, where we're trying to teach them, no, you have to have consent. Somebody has to have permission to touch you. And with that, it's like, not just that, but everything. Can I hold your hand? Can I touch you here? Can I kiss you? And when you have somebody doing that to you, it builds that trust, because then that's where that intimacy can actually really happen, because that person, whoever is asking you for permission, brings trust. And these kids, they're like, oh, that's going to ruin the moment. Actually, it won't. It will actually probably enhance that moment for you. And so teaching about intimacy. And I also saw a comment like, what if your first sexual experience was with a family member? And that's another thing we talk about, is that, well, that's not sex, that's rape. Right. And so trying to differentiate, that is rape. It's not sex, which is supposed to be good, and all those good feelings and that connection, right? And so that's another thing that we try to teach our kids as well, is like to differentiate between those two things that can happen, or maybe has happened. And so to really look at that in those terms, and being able to help them to understand, like, that they have the power, to allow what can happen to them or not happen to them. So I
Mhm.
just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you so
beautiful.
much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
So let's just that consent,
Mhm.
and just that whole beautiful process, where you are confident enough and believe that you can choose the situation and your partners. I'll just tell one story, because we're storytelling. My niece, when she used to read like Cosmopolitan and read all these things, and she was still a virgin. And one day she said, Auntie, she says, I kind of want my first time to be like in what I'm reading in here. Like, you got soft covers, you got candlelight, you got good music, good hygiene, really soft talk. And she said, I kind of want my first time to be like that. And she said, but oh, heck, around here, sheesh, they just drink a couple Budweiser and flam bam and they're done. And that's not good. So I always think, here she is, a little girl, just saying, I want it to be beautiful. I want it to be candles. I want it to be music. I want it to be touch. I want it to be these things, just not like, drink this. Okay, I'm going to do this to you. Okay, that's sex. Duh, that's no good. Anyway, Gene, what you thinking?
Shoot, I was thinking that same thing, man. I was like, I want to be like, just like, just the candles and that's a gentle touch and all those things. But because of the stereotype of men and how men are supposed to be, we're supposed to be like, know exactly what to do, how to do it. And, wham, bam, here we go. Boom. Yeah. Take a nap. It's like, but it's that crazy. And again, it's like the objectification of women needs to stop. And men, we need to see the sacredness in our partners, the sacredness in the women, the life givers. Our women are life givers, and the sacredness of, of of their presence, there was a question there about those who maybe the first sexual experience was through abuse or whatever, and that's just take the time, be gentle with yourself, and to learn and to heal, and sit with other sisters or other relatives who you can trust, and be able to talk with them and share and find out what is healthy, because oftentimes what's not healthy, but maybe you even think that unhealthy behavior is healthy because you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But to
Mm-hmm.
find out
Mm-hmm.
what is healthy, what
Mm-hmm.
is sacred, and what are you going to bring into your body, what are you going to allow into your body, and as a man, to enter into the body of a female. I mean, the sacredness of that, of just those moments, like sister was saying, it becomes more sacred, it becomes more special when you take the time, and You know, even like Jolene was said that there's like times where she was like escorted by aunties and uncles on first dates and things. I mean, that's our indigenous ways, you know, just to, keep an eye on that, on them and what's going on. You know, even if they had any questions, to be able to talk and have dialogue about it later on, you know, and those things. And so it's a gosh, it's a yeah, and this again, this is our a gathering. We're talking about this stuff because we're going to have a gathering in September 27th, 28th, 29th, you know, with the Native Wellness Institute at Suquamish. And we're going to be talking about healthy sexuality. We're going to be talking about the role of men, you know, and the healing of men as well. Because part of that our the safety of our women is the healing of our men. And or those who identify as men.
And you know, Gene, one of the as we're closing down to the hour coming to an end, in maturation and spiritual maturation, you know, from the time you're an infant and when you start to mature, once you start using drugs or alcohol, you stop that maturation. So that's why, you know, and then say you get sober at 35 years old or 40, that's why you have 40-year-olds who are acting like teenagers. And so remember that if you're 40 years old and you're just getting sober, your healthy sexuality starts then, because you're still thinking like a teenager. And I'll just say this, it's been my experience with those in addiction. And I know some people, not everyone's addicted, but because of trauma, there's a lot of addiction with Indigenous and Native people, is there in relationships, it's not usually healthy. It's because when you're addicted, you only take hostages. You take hostages in relationship. You don't have a healthy relationship. And so that healing, so we have to learn not, you know, being possessive, being controlling, you know, checking their Facebook, checking their phones, where are they at, trying to, that hostage kind of situation, because I work with a lot of women who lived as a hostage for years. And when they finally get out of that hostage situation and start to explore the beauty of courtship, the beauty of dating, the beauty of touch, the beauty of them getting their needs met and having multiple orgasms, you know, that I can see some women's, you know, and women who never had an orgasm because they were just objectified. And then, woohoo, the first time they have it, it's like, God damn, what have I been missing? I've been doing it all this time, and you could have this kind of orgasm? Oh my God. And then you start the healthy sexuality. So we just wanted to invite you to, like Gene and I, because I listen to Gene because I respect him as a man. Listen to men, women. And men, please listen to your partner. Listen to women, because it's this kind of dialogue. And Native Wellness Institute, we're just inviting you to start the dialogue so we could behave better. Behave better. So anyway, Gene, what kind of closing comments do you have?
Oh, I would just say, you know, and at 57, 50, going on 58, I'll be 60 soon, you know, I'm still learning. I'm still learning, you know, and always just take the time to learn, you know. So, and again, got to have this discussion. How do we even start the conversations? Part of this conversation, starting the conversation, is being open to learn yourself, you know, and find it out. Okay, now what works for you, you know, and what is it that you truly want outside that stereotype of what men are supposed to be in society, but what is it truly you want? And many men, we want to be nurtured. We want to be held, you know, those things that we didn't receive as children, you know, as young boys, those held, you know, and we want to be, you know, caressed, you know, and loved. And what does that mean to be loved? You know, and seek that out. You know, and that's all part of sex and sexuality. And becoming that loving partner and being it. Yeah.
So we'll start to close out. So we're inviting you, Native Wellness Institute. You know, again, every Wednesday we have the Power Hour, and then in September at Suquamish Resort and Casino, we're going to have our first conference. So stay tuned. You know, come visit, come register, come be with us. We're going to say goodbye for now because we're going to go back to, we're doing this GONA trainings. we got all our peeps with us. So this is beautiful. So we'd just like to thank you for being with us, and thank you for beginning this dialogue on positive sexuality and healthy sexuality. So thank you so much.
Well, be gentle with yourselves today. Be gentle with yourselves and be kind to yourselves today. You know, and always. Gonna cheese.
Ganun, Slish, Tamame, Ase.